Welcome to another episode of 101 with 8.
Yes, sir.
I'm here with my good brother, you know what I mean? Brother Daamin right here. And if you don't mind introducing yourself to the people who may not know who you are.
Yes, my name is Brother Daamin. I'm the COO of Newark Community Street Team.
That's right. And that's why we on Newark Community Street Team. What is Newark Community Street Team?
Well, we got the politically correct answer.
Yeah, what's that?
But we're a group of Norkers that are actually trying to help, stop violence in the community, to make it short and sweet.
Okay. That sounds good. What's some of the tactics that y'all may use or that y'all got to offer?
A host of things. I think the main thing is we do what's called a relationship-based approach, because all of us are from the community in which we work with. There's always like 6 degrees of separation with folks. So we use that to get us in there. And then, we have a wonderful training, as you know, with Akil Bashir, called Professional Community Intervention Training Institute, where we trained in SOPs of mediation, conflict resolution, so we can kind of reproduce those things over a long period of time.
Okay. All right. And like you said, most of y'all employees, if not all of y'all employees, are from these communities that they work in.
Yeah. I would say at least 95% of the staff are from Newark, and 95% of them, 100% of everybody that works on the ground level, from the areas that they work in.
Fresh, working in their own backyard, sort of thing. And how about yourself? Will you tell us a little bit about like where you from or where you came up at, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's a great story.
Yes, it's a legendary story, might I add.
Well, I love to say, I'm from First Street, 195 First Street, actually. They used to be called Academy Spies, but Garden Spies.
Yeah.
And so I'm basically from there since I was about 5 years old.
Okay.
Grew up there.
All right. And how was it? How was it coming up in that area?
Well, I mean, I sit back and I love mine coming up. You know, I see the uniqueness of mine from today's, but I love watching what's going on today too. But back then, I came up in 1924. No.
1924.
Yeah, I think so. But no.
That sounds a little bit off.
Yeah, I came up. I guess my come up was in the 80s. And so what any urban community was happening in the 80s was, street organizations, not necessarily organized in the way it is now. We had like posses and cliques. Like that, and drugs, crime,
the regular, the normal, and as far as like your role coming up, like did you get caught up in some things like that, or was you always into what you into now?
No, definitely wasn't into what I'm into now. I always had a love and a loyalty for, my community as I understood it at that time.
Yeah.
But I had a way of instituting that, in my life. So, I considered myself a leader of my community and where I was from, and I represented that. I tried to make sure I represented that. So, fighting and, just doing things to try to get my street cred up, rep up. I followed all the regular lines.
Okay. And any of that lead you, inside being locked up or anything like that? Or you was able to escape all that?
No, I wish I would have been. But we all choose a path, and mine did entail, incarceration. Not really until I mean, I probably went to the youth house once or twice. You know, for some serious things. I came up at a time when they first started the wave up law.
Okay.
We was actually in the youth house, and I was in there when they started that particular law. Actually fell up under it, and they gave us a certain amount of time to get out of that before we would actually be put in the county. So I literally remember that time, scared to death, you know, but not showing it.
Because you're a minor, but with the wave up law, you get charged as an adult.
As an adult, and they're going to put you in there. You know, at that time, I think it was with adults, and, you know, my whole psyche was just a bunch of rapists, you know, the old TV thing that you see in prison, which is true to a certain extent. Yeah, and then, you know, making wrong decisions and doing things in life led me to actually getting a life sentence in prison.
Oh, shit. All right, so you were sentenced to life.
Yes.
And how much time did you serve off that?
About 22 years. Yeah.
Damn. All right, so let's just shift gears real quick. That feeling that you felt when you got charged and you got sentenced to them 4 letters, like, could you tell us a little bit about that day, or like anything that you remember about, you know what I mean, the feelings that you felt?
I'll probably describe it in great detail. One of the things that I think that's highlighted is that I didn't even know that I was exposed to the life sentence, and that was one of the ways I was able to get back in court.
Okay.
So I didn't, you know, a lot of people think you got life, you must have killed somebody, but you know, what I did probably in today's society be looked at as, you know, the power fist is up.
Yeah.
But you know, I had some shootings against law enforcement officers, and you know, not for any protests or anything like that. So I don't want to try to glamorize mine. I was up to no good doing the robbery, and you know, the fuzz came, and I was, you know, responded the way I responded. And so I went and got a life sentence for robbery, you know, and for aggravated assault against law enforcement. And so that was like, I didn't think I was exposed to that. You know, the most time I thought I would get
like a 20-piece, 10-piece.
Yeah. So that's what they originally told me. And so when I was in the back of the courtroom, about to go inside the courtroom to get sentenced in a cell, and my lawyer came back there and said, you know what you about to get sentenced to? And I said, nah. And I distinctly remember she walked to her pad, wrote it down, ripped off a little bit of the pad, folded it up, and like threw it at me. Like didn't even walk close to the cell I was in, threw it at me, you know. And I like caught it, you know, looked at it, and it said life. You know, I balled it up, flushed it in the toilet. And so my co-defendant, you know, he was like, yo, what'd it say? And I was like, nothing, man, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even want to say it out loud, you know? So, yeah, I remember, man, like, everything after that was like the old Charlie Brown cartoon. Womp, 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 womp. People was talking. The judge was talking. I was just looking out the window like, I ain't going to see none of this no more.
That's real. That's and how was you able to bounce back off of that, though?
Well, through a lot of introspection, you know, my particular faith is I follow Minister Farrakhan's teaching, but you know, I'm a Muslim by nature, and so one of the great things I think that helped me from his teaching was part of it called self-improvement, the basis for community development, which allowed me to really examine myself, analyze myself, and to begin to correct myself. So that's like, that helped me tremendously. I also just want to say too, like my support system, my mom, you know, my family, and you know, a lot of my friends like that. That helped me. They carried me too.
That's definitely what's up, because that's a tough pill to swallow. Especially when you go into it with a situation similar to yours, and like you said, you're not even expecting to see those 4 letters, but you know what I mean, to go through that and get hit with it, and able to sit there and take all that time, you know, come back out and do what you're doing now, right? And I want to get more to what you're doing right now, right? Because that's what's important. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
like
sir.
you was able to bounce back, you learned what you learned, but now you found a platform where you could give out. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff that you did learn and that you still learning.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So let's highlight that, man. Yeah, let's get into that. Like,
fast forward, I was came out in 2012, July 10th, and our mayor was running for office.
Okay.
And right back to Minister Farrakhan had asked the local representatives to support the mayor.
Yeah.
And I was just out there as that, but listening too, because one thing, I was always a good listener. And I prided myself in that. So I listened to the things that the mayor was saying as far as the issues of concern for our community that he would be addressing. Okay. And one of them was, the violence in the community and using a systematic way to kind of stem that violence with a community-based approach.
Okay.
One of my friends, Sawab, he was telling me that the mayor was going to do something like Chicago was doing with interrupters.
Okay.
And so, he had me telling me that, he was going to let me know when that started up so I can get involved in that. Lo and behold, it started up. There was some ups and downs with it.
Yeah.
That I was told one time that, no, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to find something else for you to do. And But one of the other brothers I was inside with as well, Tyrone Barnes, Mukaran, he was like, nah, brother, it's happening, and put me D, interviewed us, we, became a part of it, but even while the campaign, let me backtrack for a second, while the campaign was going on, we was actually having meetings, formulating the name, formulate with the other brothers that was kind of like tapped to be a part of it.
So you was here, you've been here since infant stages.
Yeah, I would say so.
Safe to say, you was here since the infant stages.
Of this latest exposition of it, I think, we stand on the shoulders of so many other organizations that preceded us.
Right.
But definitely, with this last one, I've been there from the beginning, as they said.
And let's talk a little bit about HRI, right? Is that a good starting point for us to start off?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about HRI. Like, what is HRI?
Okay. That's an acronym that we use for high-risk intervention. And it's actually the team that kind of concentrates, as the way I've been defining it lately for folks, on the mediation aspect of Newark Community Street Team. All of us on the team are interventionists, public safety professionals, as I like to say, and do intervention and prevention and treatment, if you will. But HRI, I think the unique thing about the high-risk intervention team, we deal with a lot of the conflicts and the mediation of the conflicts. So a regular outreach worker may be dealing with an individual. But if that individual has a conflict with another party, they may not have the capacity to negotiate on that side and at the same side simultaneously, because we're taught through our training to deal with both sides at the same time as an arbitrator. You can't kind of deal with that side and not have, because it'll be lopsided. So HRI specializes in that aspect of it and trying to get that done, which is work.
There's definitely some work from what I understand. And all right, so we got the HRI, Safe Passage.
Yeah. Safe Passage is something that's not unique to Newark Community Street Team. I think it started in California, actually, in San Francisco, I believe.
Okay.
But, it's unique because the way we've implemented it.
Gotcha.
Putting individuals very close to where they live at now, In the beginning stage, we didn't do that, so people had trouble getting there 7:30 in the morning, 7:20, trying to get, across town to, to make sure, because many of us don't drive, so we're taking public transportation, which, you got to leave 12 hours early.
Word.
Shout out to New Jersey Transit.
Yeah, beautiful job they doing.
Always slacking in their macking,
sipping in their pippin'.
Yeah. So now we try to put it with the individuals that work are closest to the schools where they live at. Okay. And so with that being said, they're there when children are going to school, making sure they're safe, and then leaving, making sure they leave safely, and mediating conflicts. Okay. Because a lot of the conflicts outside the school grounds and campus may come in the school grounds and campus and vice versa. Yeah. Some of the stuff that happened in school spill over to the streets. Okay. So those brothers and sisters that work around the school, making sure they keep the peace like that.
Yeah. Because we know often sometimes like with kids or whatever, they conscious of being inside the building and being on the premises. And I think that's something great that NCST do. They go that extra mile, right? So now if you got a kid that's in a tight situation, whether they being bullied or they being pressured into something, they know that they have NCST out there to be an extra layer of security for them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that's even good. Just even outside of the kid aspect, but from a parent aspect as well. That's even more confident. Like, I got an extra, you know what I mean? Like, I got an extra pair of eyes on my kid.
That's right. I'll even say one other thing, too, and just correlating it to the high-risk intervention aspect and even just mediation and conflicts in the street. As we're meeting these children, sometimes in middle school, some of the grammar school, it gives us the relationship-based approach that we use. Right. So now we create a relationship. So the brand is saying, so they see me standing outside their school when they're in the 5th grade. Yeah. See another team member standing outside another school they at when they're in the 8th grade, high school. You done built a relationship with the brand and with the name of Newark Community Street Team. So they're more likely because how we've treated them all that time, which hopefully be good, right? So that they'll kind of like respond to us a little better. Yeah,
and that's the main thing, like you said, it's the branding part of it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They're getting used to it. They getting because it's something that's needed, and that's something that I want to talk about. That's something I want to talk about next because we see everything that's going on right now, right? George Floyd and the other brother who just got killed down there in Atlanta, and the list go on and on and on. Yeah, we can name name for name, and we'd be here to the tape pop. But in light of things that's going on, and we starting to see a lot of people come together, and I've been hearing a lot of defund the police lately, right? And I think NCST has been one of the main one of the main front runners that I can see so far. You know what I mean? Like programs that made sense, right? Now, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of other programs out there. It's a lot of them, and they all are needed, right? But as far as like the manpower and from the structure of the training and everything, and I think it's definitely it's definitely one of the front runners for the city of Newark. And going forward, like what's one of the main things that we need for it to be a shift, right? Because like I said, if they talking about defunding, and we sitting here saying like, we do have options, right? Like NCST is one, and like I said, we have many more others out there. But what's something that we really need to see? Like, what is something that you think that we need to see, so it could just stop being taught, and started being like
I think,
action behind it.
You know, the language, I think the word defund is a misnomer. That a lot of folks really think it mean that, you know, the police, that's it. And in some communities that is. I think in Camden, you know, the local law enforcement is not there anymore. The municipal law enforcement is there. And they use county to kind of like replace them. Because, you know, there's a need, I think, of law enforcement, you know, especially in today's society.
No, it definitely is.
Yeah, but I think, you know, community-based organizations using the public safety avenue to engage the community, right, is most important. And so what needs to happen is that there needs to be more investment, you know, in that. And so when we're saying defund the police, we don't mean don't pay them, but because organizations like NCST can show, you know, that they've helped to create a 48% decrease in violent crimes and deaths in the South and the West Ward in the city of Newark, and get credit actually from law enforcement itself and from our government officials, our local government officials, being the mayor and what have you. And so, you know, funding needs to take place. And whereas though now we can finance these organizations, the mayor of Newark just did something, you know, that I don't know if it's unprecedented, but I ain't never heard about it. You know, he just took $15 million and put it in the violence prevention office that he's creating under the Brick City Peace Collective and with Newark Community Street Team, West Ward Victims Outreach, NAVC, NSA, and all these other acronym organizations that are part of it to actually help to fund that, to get us there. So I think people just, and politicians need to be more creative in their approach and looking at, you know, different community-based organizations and that type of work that's being done by them.
Okay. And so all these other, is that like what he just put the money into? Is it going to be like an umbrella?
Yes.
For all of them
yes. From my understanding, you know, some of it will be allocated towards, you know, office buildings, and I believe they're actually building like a center or something with a kind of like house that, but definitely from everything I know that I've been involved in Brick City Peace Collective since the mayor announced it and the meetings and everything, and shout out to our sister Dawn Hayes, our coordinator for the Brick City Peace Collective and all its members. Definitely the mayor is going to like kind of direct those funds to help expand a lot of the work that these agencies are doing individually so they can come collectively and do it at a greater pace.
Sound good to me, man. And one last thing I guess I'll say, well, matter of fact, I ask you, what is it, what's next for NCST and Daamin Durden himself, man? Like, what's next, man?
Well, a couple of things. We're following the script that was originally laid down by the mayor's vision and our executive director, Achilles Sherrills. One of the main things that he was brought here to do was create infrastructure and then turn the organization over to its local leadership. We may be about a couple of months away from that. You know, he'll be not going anywhere, but actually going to our board of directors to kind of help, you know, continuing funding and everything. But then local leadership, I'll more than likely be taking the executive director position, and then all the other positions that are currently held by all local members. But one of the main things I think you'll see, we just got a grant to do what's called the Trauma Recovery Center, and so we're opening up. We're renovating and kind of closing on the home on 16th Street and Clinton Avenue that will house the Trauma Recovery Center, because a lot of us are not identified as victims, you know, especially like black males in the community. And so there's a lot of things that have happened to us that we need help with, to be able to negotiate, and not necessarily through the traditional means. And so we're going to be opening up that trauma recovery center to deal with that, not just with black males, but with the whole community, but specifically for us as well, right? And as we have that type of healing and things, wraparound services for individuals, we're going to really be moving more towards a lot of the historical issues that are in our community. We're small enough, I believe, unlike other places, where we can kind of get a grasp on going into our neighborhoods and finding out like what's the root problem and the cause of it. And we're not that far in our history of it that we can't get there. And then the last thing I say is economic development. You know, actually, even though I'm mentioning it last, I think it needs to be put there first. So NCST is moving towards economic development, although we're a nonprofit. We're moving towards that and establishing some businesses and buying property and things like that, and allowing those that are members of the organization to first benefit, and then the community, and the rest of the community at large. So I think that's a good start.
That sounds pretty dope. I'm gonna have to swing by the office tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And like I said, man, I like to thank you for coming through, man.
My
Great
pleasure,
conversation, bro. And
thank you.
Is there any shout outs or anything you want to shed some light on before we get out of here?
Just want to thank you for the platform, brother. You know,
thank you, man.
You know, always honored to be hanging out in your presence, man. And just a shout out to all the folks that may be watching this, man. This guy, I'm on here, you know, so this guy be doing great things. He'll call me back again.
Hey, yo, man. We out, yo.